The evening sun painted the New York sky in shades of orange and pink as people wandered through Central Park, seeking a moment of peace amidst the city's chaos. Joggers, dog walkers, and lost souls sitting on benches each carried their own stories in the heart of Manhattan. Dwayne Johnson walked through the park, trying to escape the noise of fame for a while. Dressed in a simple jacket and a hoodie with sunglasses shielding his recognizable face, he enjoyed these rare moments of anonymity. He had spent years in the spotlight, but sometimes he just wanted to be another person in the crowd. But that evening, something was waiting for him. Near a worn-out bench, an old man was playing a guitar. His jacket was faded, his shoes were old, but the way he held his guitar showed that it was his most prized possession. The melody drifted through the air, carrying a deep sense of sorrow and wisdom. The lyrics spoke of lost dreams, of a man once full of hope who had been worn down by life but refused to give up completely. Dwayne stopped. The song struck a chord in his heart. He took a few steps forward and stood before the old musician. The man, lost in his music, hadn't yet noticed who was in front of him. "You've got a great voice, man," Dwayne said with a warm smile. "Where'd you learn that song?" The old man strummed his guitar gently and looked up. "It's my story," he said with a tired sigh. "I once had big dreams, wanted to go on tour, share my music with the world. But life? Life doesn't always care about your plans, does it? Now I play here. Maybe someone stops to listen, maybe they don't. But music? Music never leaves me." Dwayne looked into the man's eyes and saw years of struggle, heartache, and resilience. He tapped the bench next to him and sat down. "You know," Dwayne said, smiling slightly, "I've had my share of struggles too. I remember days when I barely had any money, chasing a dream that seemed impossible. Everyone told me I wouldn't make it, but sometimes the darkest moments create the most powerful songs." The old man chuckled, though there was doubt in his eyes. "Easy for you to say," he muttered. "You're built like a mountain. The world can't knock you down." Dwayne laughed, but it was a genuine, heartfelt laugh. "That's what people think," he said. "But everyone carries their own weight. Some of us just learn not to show it." Reaching into his pocket, Dwayne pulled out several $100 bills and dropped them into the old man's coffee cup. The musician's eyes widened in shock, staring at the money before shaking his head. "That's too much, son," he said hesitantly. "I'm just a street singer. I'm not asking for charity." Dwayne looked him in the eye, his voice calm but firm. "This isn't charity," he said. "This is the value of your music." At that moment, passers-by started to notice. A young couple stopped to listen, a man pulled out his phone to record, and a little boy tugged on his father's sleeve, urging him closer. The park's energy shifted. The old man took a deep breath, straightened his back, and played once more. But this time, his voice was stronger, his melody filled with hope. Dwayne patted his shoulder, gave him a final nod, and stood up. As he walked away, he could still hear the music rising behind him, now carrying the weight of renewed spirit. The city lights flickered on as night fell, and in the grand chaos of New York, where millions of lives intertwined, two strangers had shared a moment of pure humanity. And that melody, it didn't just belong to the old man anymore. It had touched the hearts of everyone who stopped to listen. As Dwayne walked away, the melody of the old man's song still echoed in his ears. But something inside him told him this wasn't the end of their story. He turned around one last time and saw a small crowd now gathered around the musician. Some were dropping money into his cup, others were simply listening, silent, moved, present. It was more than just a street performance now, it was a moment. Dwayne took a deep breath and made a decision. He pulled out his phone and made a quick call. "Hey bro, I need a favor. Can you meet me in Central Park? There's someone you need to hear." An unexpected opportunity. 15 minutes later, a black SUV pulled up near the park entrance. Out stepped one of the biggest music producers in New York, Dwayne's old friend, Marcus Reynolds. He was a legend in the industry, having worked with some of the biggest names in music. Marcus adjusted his sunglasses and walked toward the sound of the guitar. As he approached, the old man was in the middle of another song, his voice raw but filled with passion. The crowd had grown even larger, drawn in by the emotion in his music. Dwayne watched Marcus carefully. He knew talent when he saw it, but he was also a tough critic. For a few minutes, Marcus said nothing, just stood there, arms crossed, listening. When the song ended, the old man wiped his brow and looked up. "You've got something real, old-timer," Marcus finally said. "Ever recorded before?" The old man scoffed. "That was a lifetime ago. No one's looking to sign a guy my age," Marcus smirked. "That's where you're wrong. Music isn't about age, it's about soul. And you, my friend, have a voice people need to hear." Dwayne grinned and clapped the old man on the back. "Told you," he said. "The world just needed a chance to listen." The comeback no one expected a week later, the old man, whose real name was Henry Carter, found himself inside a professional recording studio for the first time in decades. It was overwhelming at first, the lights, the microphones, the engineers. It felt like a dream. But when he picked up the guitar and played that same song from Central Park, something magical happened. The sound engineers stopped what they were doing. The producer sat back, nodding slowly. And for the first time in years, Henry felt like more than just a forgotten street musician. Marcus put his hand on Henry's shoulder. "This song, this story, it's not just yours anymore. We're putting it out into the world." Dwayne, standing in the corner, smiled. He had spent his life lifting people up, inspiring millions. But this felt different. And when Henry's song finally hit streaming platforms a month later, no one could have predicted what happened next. A viral sensation. Within days, the song had spread like wildfire. People who had passed Henry in the park without a second glance were now sharing his music, telling his story. Celebrities tweeted about it. Radio stations played it. Listeners across the country connected with the raw, honest lyrics. And then, the call came. A late-night talk show wanted Henry to perform live. Dwayne was the first person he called. "Are you sure about this?" Henry asked. "I don't belong in front of cameras." Dwayne laughed. "Henry, you've spent your whole life singing to strangers. This is just another park bench, only with a bigger audience." The performance that changed everything. The night of the show, Henry stepped onto the stage, hands trembling. The audience fell silent as he sat down, adjusted his guitar, and strummed the first chord. And as soon as he began to sing, the world listened. His song, once just a whisper in Central Park, had become a voice for everyone who had ever felt forgotten, everyone who had ever been knocked down but refused to give up. As Henry played his final note, the crowd erupted in applause. Backstage, Dwayne stood with his arms crossed, a proud smile on his face. Henry turned to him, shaking his head in disbelief. "How did this happen?" Dwayne chuckled. "Because talent, heart, and persistence always find a way. Sometimes all you need is for someone to listen. And that night, the world did."